Right now, Tesla is living through a nightmare Elon Musk never saw coming. Once hailed as the future of transportation, the Cybertruck is now being seized by governments and banned from public roads across the world. From the United Kingdom to Australia, officials are slamming the brakes on Tesla's most controversial vehicle, citing safety risks, legal violations, and design choices that simply don't fit modern infrastructure. Investors are panicking, consumers are confused, and Tesla's stock is falling fast. So here's the question: has the Cybertruck become Tesla's biggest blunder yet, or is this all part of Elon's master plan? What's happening? The Tesla Cybertruck was never officially approved for European roads, but that didn't stop someone from trying. When one appeared on the streets of Greater Manchester, British police quickly took notice. Oversized, unregistered, and missing a required certificate of conformity, the vehicle was pulled over and impounded under standard traffic enforcement procedures. This wasn't a dramatic standoff or a political message. It was simply a case of a vehicle not meeting the rules. From sharp, unrounded edges to non-compliant lighting and steer-by-wire systems, the Cybertruck violated multiple safety codes in the United Kingdom. And while the seizure itself was straightforward, the reaction was anything but. As flashing blue lights illuminated its sharp edges and matte black finish, bystanders began recording the event. A short, shaky video hit social media before sunrise. Within hours, it was circulating across digital platforms, igniting a firestorm of speculation and ridicule. The question on everyone's mind: why was it seized? The answer lay in a single missing document: the Certificate of Conformity. This certificate is mandatory for any foreign registered vehicle operating on British roads. It verifies that the car meets all environmental and safety standards required in the United Kingdom and the European Union. Without it, a vehicle is considered unfit for public roads, regardless of who owns it or where it was manufactured. Tesla had not produced this certificate for the Cybertruck in Europe. In its current form, the vehicle simply did not and could not qualify for compliance. The seizure was not just a matter of red tape. It was the result of a fundamental legal failure. The driver, who had legally purchased the Cybertruck abroad and attempted to drive it under temporary foreign registration, was caught in a regulatory net that had no loophole. The result was instant and irreversible. Headlines declared the Cybertruck illegal in the United Kingdom. Forums exploded. Videos dissected every angle. What should have been a proud moment for a new Tesla owner turned into a global embarrassment for the company. Elon Musk, normally vocal in the face of controversy, remained silent. His absence only fueled the media frenzy. What made this incident so jarring was not just the spectacle of the seizure, but what it symbolized. This was Tesla's most ambitious vehicle to date, a symbol of American innovation, power, and defiance. To see it taken off the road in the dead of night under flashing lights was a cinematic fall from grace, and it sent a message louder than any press release: the rules still apply. But this was not just about a rogue truck. It exposed a fatal flaw in the entire design. And the moment regulators looked under the hood, the real problems began to surface. The blade-like beast. The Tesla Cybertruck is a vehicle designed to provoke. From its geometric frame to its exoskeleton shell, everything about it screams defiance. But in the United Kingdom and across the European Union, that defiance runs headfirst into a wall of regulation, one that the Cybertruck was never built to clear. At the center of the controversy is a matter of geometry. According to British law, every edge on a vehicle must be rounded to a minimum radius of 3.2 millimeters. The rule is simple: sharp edges are dangerous. They do not flex. They do not absorb impact. In the event of a collision with a pedestrian, cyclist, or another vehicle, they do more than cause injury. They cause trauma. The Cybertruck ignores this entirely. Its edges are harsh, unapologetically angular, and structurally rigid. Tesla did not simply fail to comply, it built the vehicle in a way that would require total re-engineering to pass. And this is not a matter of cosmetic modification. The sharp lines are baked into the very structure of the exoskeleton, which forms the load-bearing body of the truck. To make it compliant, Tesla would have to change its entire identity. Lighting presents another critical failure point. British and European laws demand that turn indicators, brake lights, and running lights be visibly distinct. They must be spaced apart and have a redundancy system in case of malfunction. The Cybertruck's futuristic light bar blends all those functions into a single LED strip. It is beautiful, it is striking, and it is illegal. Moreover, the lighting system relies entirely on software. If it fails, the truck effectively disappears from view, especially in rain, fog, or low light. There is no manual override, no secondary fallback. In Europe's dense cities and narrow roads, where visibility is already limited, this is more than a minor infraction. It is a safety hazard. We did the digging, sorted through the noise, and laid it all out, so you didn't have to. If that kind of effort matters, maybe we've earned your subscription. And then there is the steering. The Cybertruck uses a steer-by-wire system with no physical linkage between the steering wheel and the wheels. Instead, it relies entirely on electronic signals. While this may work in theory and has been tested in controlled environments, European law requires that steering systems be physically inspectable. That means you must be able to touch, test, and verify the safety of every critical connection. With no mechanical fallback, the Cybertruck cannot pass these inspections. It is not just untested, it is untestable. Each of these issues on its own could block a vehicle from entering the European market. Together, they form a perfect storm of non-compliance. Tesla did not just push boundaries, it drove straight through them without checking the consequences, and regulators were not impressed. These are not the kind of issues that can be fixed with a software update. They are foundational design decisions that reflect a fundamentally different philosophy, a philosophy that prioritizes boldness over compatibility, innovation over regulation, and that's just one country. Tesla was about to get banned again. As the smoke cleared in the United Kingdom, other nations took notice and began drawing their own lines in the sand. Ireland, Australia, and China say no. The United Kingdom may have started the avalanche, but it wasn't the only government slamming the brakes on Tesla's futuristic juggernaut. Across the globe, 3 key markets, Ireland, Australia, and China, each delivered their own stunning rejections of the Cybertruck. Not because of some coordinated conspiracy, but because the truck simply didn't fit, literally, legally, or culturally. In Ireland, the issues started with geography and ended with safety. The Cybertruck's enormous frame, weighing close to 7,000 pounds and stretching over 2.2 meters wide, is a logistical nightmare on Ireland's winding country roads and medieval city streets. These aren't just quaint features of the landscape. They're critical infrastructure limitations that shape vehicle law and enforcement. In a place where the average vehicle is smaller and narrower, dropping a steel-clad behemoth into the mix is more than impractical. It's dangerous. Add in the same blade-like edges that got the Cybertruck banned in the United Kingdom, and it becomes clear that Ireland was never going to roll out the red carpet. There's also the weight classification to consider. Most Irish drivers operate under the European Standard B license, which only permits operation of vehicles up to 3.5 metric tons. The Cybertruck, depending on configuration and cargo, can exceed that threshold, reclassifying it as a commercial vehicle requiring a C1 license. Suddenly, your personal truck needs the same credentials as a delivery lorry. Down under in Australia, regulators took an equally hard line, and they had their own unique reasons. Like Ireland, Australia has narrow roads in older urban centers, but it also has a vast interior where road safety is life and death. The country's wildlife, including kangaroos, emus, and other large animals, presents serious collision risks, especially in rural regions. Australian safety authorities were alarmed by the Cybertruck's rigidity. Unlike conventional vehicles that crumple to absorb impact, the Cybertruck's exoskeleton resists deformation. That might sound good for passengers, but it's a death sentence for anyone or anything outside the vehicle. Wildlife hits become catastrophic, and pedestrian collisions are worsened by the Cybertruck's hard, angular exterior. Then there's the problem of steering orientation. Australia, like the United Kingdom, drives on the left side of the road. Tesla's Texas factory, which manufactures the Cybertruck, is only producing left-hand drive models. That alone disqualifies the vehicle unless a costly and complex reconfiguration is performed, a process Tesla has shown no interest in pursuing. And then there's the electric elephant in the room, China. While the Cybertruck hasn't been officially banned in China, it might as well be. The government has not granted it legal road access, and Tesla quietly withdrew its energy certification filing with China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. This wasn't just a clerical mistake, it was a strategic retreat. China enforces some of the strictest pedestrian safety laws in the world, especially in densely packed urban environments. The Cybertruck, with its massive size and aggressive styling, is everything regulators are trying to move away from. More troubling is the vehicle's incompatibility with China's existing urban infrastructure. Pickup trucks, even domestically produced ones, already face limited access to city centers, strict emissions oversight, and mandatory scrapping after 15 years. The Cybertruck, with its high cost and unconventional frame, doesn't fit any existing category, making it legally unplaceable. Tesla's China withdrawal came without fanfare, but the implications were enormous. China represents the world's largest electric vehicle market. Failing to launch the Cybertruck, there isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a forfeiture of long-term strategic ground. Tesla has already faced scrutiny in China over previous issues like alleged braking failures and public safety investigations. The Cybertruck only exacerbates those tensions. But while countries laid down their legal arguments, what came next was something no one expected: complete silence from the man who built his career on never backing down. Silence from Elon. When news of the Cybertruck's seizure in the United Kingdom first went viral, it triggered exactly the kind of storm Tesla is used to surfing. Headlines, memes, furious debates, and fan wars. But something was different this time. Elon Musk, the usually hyper-responsive CEO who never misses a beat on Twitter, remained completely silent. For a company that thrives on boldness, Elon's absence was louder than any press conference. While regulators explained their decisions and citizens debated the pros and cons, Musk said nothing. Not a tweet, not a thread, not a meme. For nearly a week, there was radio silence, and in that void, public perception started to shift. Loyalists began speculating. Was he blindsided? Was Tesla unprepared for this level of global pushback? Or worse, had they simply ignored the possibility altogether? The media wasted no time pouncing. Tesla was no longer steering the narrative. News outlets around the world began running investigative pieces on what the Cybertruck's bans meant for Tesla's future. Financial publications zeroed in on investor confidence, with some analysts pointing to a sharp dip in Tesla's stock price as a response to regulatory concerns. Market chatter started asking uncomfortable questions. Had the company overreached? Was this vehicle a step too far? Meanwhile, Tesla's fanbase splintered. Online forums and Reddit threads filled with debate. Some fans doubled down, blaming foreign regulators for being anti-innovation, but others, even longtime supporters, began expressing doubt. The question wasn't just, is the Cybertruck legal? It became, should it even exist in its current form? Tesla has always walked a tightrope between innovation and arrogance. The Cybertruck, in all its dystopian glory, was a defiant statement of design rebellion. But that rebellion now looked reckless. Without Musk's usual bravado to defend it, the company's silence took on the flavor of strategic retreat. The absence of leadership allowed the narrative to be co-opted. Activists, safety experts, and rival automakers took over the conversation. Headlines no longer read, "Tesla disrupts." They read, "Tesla banned, Cybertruck seized, and EV giant silent in wake of global rejection." Tesla had never experienced this level of reputational freefall over a single vehicle. Even past controversies, from autopilot crashes to production delays, had been buffered by Elon's direct engagement. But this time, his silence created a vacuum that filled with uncertainty and skepticism. The result? A crumbling of public confidence and a visible shift in tone. What began as a regulatory footnote in Manchester spiraled into a branding crisis that stretched across continents. The Cybertruck was no longer just a conversation piece. It had become a warning sign. And in the absence of Elon's voice, Tesla found itself losing something far more important than a vehicle. It lost control of the future it was trying to sell. And then, just as markets reeled and fans turned anxious, Tesla's absence from one of its most profitable regions made headlines again. But this time it wasn't because of a truck being banned. It was because the company had disappeared completely. A £450 million disaster. When Tesla's Cybertruck was seized on a rainy Manchester night, the spectacle was far more than just a local controversy. It marked the collapse of what could have been a highly lucrative expansion into one of the fastest-growing electric vehicle markets in the world. The United Kingdom, with its aggressive electric transition policies, robust charging infrastructure, and a consumer base increasingly willing to embrace innovation, should have been a cornerstone of Tesla's European growth. But instead of gaining a foothold, Tesla lost its grip entirely, and the financial impact is staggering. The United Kingdom's electric vehicle sector expanded by more than 30% over the previous fiscal year. New electric vehicle registrations crossed over 320,000 units, with consistent year-over-year growth projected for at least the next 3 years. Within this context, a compliant Cybertruck was projected by industry analysts to sell between 10,000 and 15,000 units annually in the United Kingdom alone, with each vehicle carrying a price tag exceeding £60,000. That translates to potential annual revenues in the range of £600 million to £900 million, and over a 3-year period, more than £1.8 billion in gross revenue. But due to Tesla's failure to meet regulatory requirements and its lack of preparedness for local certification, the company forfeited this entire opportunity. No targeted marketing, no launch strategy, no groundwork laid for compliance. Tesla walked away from a market where demand existed, but access was blocked by basic legal barriers. And what was more damaging than the lost sales was the reputational cost. Once viewed as the face of future mobility, Tesla in the United Kingdom became synonymous with overreach and arrogance. Even longtime brand advocates began questioning whether the company's global strategy had veered too far from reality. The blow did not go unnoticed by investors either. Tesla's stock price dipped following the viral videos of Cybertrucks being seized, and financial analysts began revising forward-looking forecasts. The lost United Kingdom opportunity was no longer theoretical. It was a case study in how misjudging regulation can create both tangible financial setbacks and long-term brand erosion. Missed unit sales were only the beginning. Ancillary revenues, software subscriptions, charging network usage, and service packages also vanished. And as competitors stepped in to claim Tesla's abandoned territory, the company's position as a global electric leader suddenly looked more fragile than ever. Meanwhile, Tesla's competitors were doing something very different, and it paid off. Hyundai, Volkswagen, BMW, the brands that quietly beat Tesla. While Tesla stumbled into regulatory quicksand, its global competitors were executing well-calibrated strategies that prioritize compliance, adaptability, and precision. Nowhere was this contrast clearer than in the actions of Hyundai, Volkswagen, and BMW. These automakers weren't chasing viral moments or dramatic unveilings. They were quietly studying each market's laws, preparing compliant vehicles, and launching products that work the first time. Hyundai's success with the Ioniq 5 is a masterclass in strategic planning. From its earliest design stages, the vehicle was engineered with European Union and United Kingdom regulations embedded into every decision. Lighting systems, pedestrian impact zones, digital systems, all were meticulously tailored to meet certification standards without compromise. That preparation allowed Hyundai to roll out the Ioniq 5 across Europe seamlessly. No recalls, no rejections, just road-ready cars filling showrooms and customer garages. By the time Tesla was issuing internal memos about the Cybertruck's legal challenges, Hyundai had already captured significant market share. Volkswagen's approach was similarly effective. With the ID.4, the company focused on scale, creating a modular electric platform that could be adapted for different markets with minimal engineering overhaul. Every detail, from emission software to driver interface systems, was planned with foresight. Volkswagen executives knew that the electric transition would be won not by flash, but by fluency with local law. The ID.4 proved it, becoming a top seller in markets like Germany, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. Then there's BMW, whose rollout of the i-Series represents a balance between innovation and pragmatism. The i4 and iX models were introduced with synchronized infrastructure support, charging access, driver training, regulatory documentation, and marketing were aligned from day one. This level of orchestration meant that BMW could offer not just a vehicle, but a full ecosystem of ownership. In contrast to Tesla's chaos, BMW's rollout felt composed, competent, and deeply aligned with consumer expectations in regulated markets. These companies didn't abandon style or innovation. Instead, they refined their strategies to fit a world where rules matter and where governments have increasing influence over what can and cannot operate on public roads. While Tesla focused on headlines, these brands focused on checklists. And when the Cybertruck was impounded, those checklists became the difference between a market seized and a market served. Because what happened next wasn't just about one truck. It was a rejection of Elon's entire philosophy. The philosophy rejected why the Cybertruck got banned. When governments began pulling the Cybertruck off roads, it was not simply a matter of paperwork or unmet checklists. It was a rejection of a deeper idea that design could overrule structure, that spectacle could sidestep tradition, and that disruption itself was somehow exempt from regulation. The United Kingdom was only the beginning. Across the globe, regulators weren't just banning a vehicle, they were drawing a hard line in the sand against the design philosophy that gave birth to it. Tesla didn't just make a machine too sharp, too wide, too fast, or too wild for conventional roads. It built a product that symbolized the very thing governments were growing tired of: unregulated, untested, untethered innovation. For years, Tesla operated under the assumption that regulatory bodies would always play catch-up, and in many parts of the world, they did. But the Cybertruck was different. Its controversial aesthetics, extreme size, and bleeding-edge technology didn't just test the limits of automotive engineering. They challenged the system itself. The vehicle was not just a truck, it was a challenge, a dare, a raised eyebrow at every transportation ministry on the planet. In Elon Musk's playbook, pushing boundaries was the point. But in countries with deeply entrenched safety laws and historical infrastructure limitations, the Cybertruck became an emblem of overreach. This wasn't about hatred for Tesla. Many of the same nations that banned the Cybertruck still allowed the Model 3, the Model Y, and even the Model S. The rejection was not against the brand. It was against the belief that one product could rewrite the rules by existing louder, bigger, and bolder than anything before it. The sharp edges weren't just a design problem. They were a metaphor. The software-only steering wasn't just a legal loophole. It was seen as arrogance. Governments were not just saying, "We won't allow this car." They were saying, "We will not accept this approach to the future." The philosophical divide grew deeper with each statement issued by national agencies. Safety laws are not guidelines, they are protections. While Tesla saw the Cybertruck as a new chapter in automotive evolution, many countries viewed it as a rejection of decades of hard-earned regulation. The very things that made the Cybertruck iconic in Tesla's eyes, its exoskeleton, its minimalist hardware, its radical proportions, were viewed by regulators as disqualifications, not innovations. And that is what turned the Cybertruck from an engineering marvel into a political flashpoint. It was not enough to say the vehicle was too wild for the road. Governments had to draw boundaries. They had to defend legal precedent and uphold the standards that kept pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers safe for generations. That made the ban symbolic. The Cybertruck was not just an unsafe vehicle. It was a vision too far from reality to coexist with public safety. So what now? Can Tesla build a road-legal version? Is this the end of wild EVs? The Cybertruck may have been banned in several countries, but its impact will echo for years to come. The question now isn't just whether Tesla can fix the design or appeal the decisions. The question is far broader. Will other electric vehicle manufacturers follow Tesla's bold, radical approach? Or has the global backlash against the Cybertruck signaled the end of outrageous electric vehicle designs? We may be entering a new era of conformity, not creativity. As regulators tighten the leash and consumers grow more safety conscious, the electric vehicles of tomorrow may be shaped less by visionary instincts and more by rule books. Design teams will no longer ask, "How far can we go?" They'll ask, "What will regulators allow?" That question alone changes the entire landscape of vehicle innovation. It limits the sandbox. It narrows the road. Tesla is not the only company that pushes boundaries, but it has always been the boldest. The Cybertruck was a culmination of everything that made Tesla famous: audacity, nonconformity, and the ability to command global attention. But the same features that made it a media darling also made it a legislative nightmare. The sharp edges, the light bar, the untestable steering system. These are not just quirks. They are design risks that regulators will now reference as what not to do. Other automakers have taken notice. Hyundai, Volkswagen, and BMW have already pivoted to designs that meet multiple nations' laws straight out of the gate. Their electric vehicles aren't just road legal, they are regulation-proof. That has massive implications for what future EVs will look like. Expect softer edges, more modular control systems, fewer visual risks, and a heavier emphasis on visibility, safety zones, and compliance metrics. This does not mean the end of cool electric vehicles. It means the beginning of responsible futurism. Engineers will be forced to innovate within the boundaries, not outside them. And for the average driver, this may result in cars that are more intuitive, more affordable, and far more dependable. What we lose in spectacle, we may gain in reliability. Yet something deeper is shifting beneath the surface. The Cybertruck's rejection represents a pivot point in the history of electric mobility. It is a signal that the future of driving will not be defined by unfiltered imagination alone. It must be negotiated between designers and lawmakers, between dreamers and pragmatists, between what is possible and what is permissible. That negotiation will affect every future EV you see, from the shape of headlights to the strength of bumpers, from the layout of interiors to the size of charging ports. Every detail will now pass through the lens of Cybertruck-era caution. And maybe that is not a bad thing. Maybe this moment forces the industry to grow up, to reconcile creativity with responsibility. So what do you think? Is the Cybertruck a bold leap too far, or just ahead of its time? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the biggest stories in tech and autos, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.